Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us this evening from the Royal Australian Navy is Lieutenant Commander Jed Goggin. We warmly welcome the family of Lance Corporal Henry Adam Waits, whose story will be told shortly. We are honoured to acknowledge the delegation of senior representatives from the Tongan Legislative Assembly who are in attendance this evening. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, would you now please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Visitors who are able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who gave their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Lance Corporal Henry Adam Waits. Henry Waits was born on the 22nd of September 1912 at Waiuna, a tiny hamlet in north central Victoria. Known as Harry, he was the fifth of 9 children born to George and Margaret Waits. George was at times a farmer, a labourer and a woodcutter. By 1917, the family was living in Junee, New South Wales, and 2 years later in Cootamundra. In May 1919, George abandoned his family and left Australia. He died a year later in Cardiff, Wales. Margaret and the children moved to Melbourne's western suburbs. After finishing high school, Harry became a sheep station manager at Altona. War began in September 1939 and Harry Waits joined up on the 6th of March 1941 in Melbourne. His brothers, George and Vic, served in the Royal Australian Navy and Jack with the infantry. Harry was posted as a reinforcement for the 2nd 14th Infantry Battalion. Barely a week later, he was heading overseas. In the Middle East, he joined his new unit, then stationed in Tripoli in Syria, on the 16th of September 1941. After nearly 6 months in Syria and Lebanon, the battalion and the rest of the 7th Division left for home, arriving back in Australia on the 24th of March 1942. With Japan's entry into the war in December, a new threat loomed closer to home. Harry and his comrades first saw action against the Japanese on the Kokoda Trail on the 26th of August 1942. They were forced into a desperate fighting retreat back to Itama Ridge, where they were finally relieved by fresh troops on September 16th. The battalion next fought at Gona during the Papuan beachhead battles. Leading the advance on Gona mission, Harry was wounded on the 19th of November, suffering bullet wounds to both a knee and a wrist. Evacuated to hospital, he was also found to have malaria. Harry rejoined his battalion, by now back in Queensland, on the 15th of March 1943, but was soon ill again with malaria. But determined not to miss the next show, Harry returned to his unit in August as they headed back to Papua. During the advance to Bona, Harry had a close call during an exchange of rifle fire with the Japanese. After a bullet passed between his ear and head, leaving a single mark, Harry withdrew and, lighting a smoke, remarked that he had never before had such a close haircut. The battalion's main area of operations for the remainder of 1943 was the Ramu Valley and Finisterre Mountains. In September, Harry Waits was made Lance Corporal. He was again wounded in action but remained on duty. By the end of the year, Harry was confirmed as a corporal. The battalion returned to Australia in early March 1944 and stayed for the rest of the year. In February 1945, Harry was court-martialed for being drunk whilst on duty, then being absent without leave for 6 days. He was fined £5 and reduced to private. His company commander, Major O'Day, spoke on his behalf, and before long, Harry was made Lance Corporal again. It seems he was a handful at home, but too good a man to not have with you in a fight. The 2nd 14th's last operation was the landing at Balikpapan on Borneo's southeast coast. On the 1st of July 1945, they took Mangar Airfield, then pushed into the adjacent hills. On the 6th, Harry was one of a party of a dozen men led by Lieutenant Frank Doyle, tasked with capturing a knoll where 2 big enemy naval guns overlooked the airstrip. after supporting fire from airstrikes, including napalm, as well as naval bombardment and land-based mortars and artillery, the little band set out reaching their objective at 5 p.m. Waits was among those scouting ahead. After taking out the Japanese sentry, the men rushed forward. An engineer carrying a 23-pound explosive charge was killed. Waits raced across to him, grabbed the charge and advanced on the gun position alone, but he too was mortally wounded. His comrades pressed on and captured the entire position, driving off some 50 enemy soldiers. The knoll where Harry died was named Waits Ridge in his honour. He was 32 years old. Initially buried on the battlefield, his remains were later moved to the Labuan War Cemetery in Brunei Bay, Malaysia. In 1947, Lance Corporal Harry Waits was posthumously mentioned in dispatches for the action in which he gave his life. The 2nd 14th's history stated that in all the battalion's campaigns, Harry had been an inspiration to his comrades and that his name and deeds continue to inspire. Harry's brother Jack was wounded at El Almentian but survived the war, as did George and Vic. Harry Waits's name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among nearly 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Lance Corporal Henry Adam Waits, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.